Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. It's so much more than just a 200-year-old romance. It's this incredibly sharp, super witty look at money, class, and, the huge danger of first impressions. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the whole famous plot, from that first super awkward dance all the way to the final heartfelt proposal.
And we've got to start with one of the most famous opening lines in all of literature. I mean, this one sentence just sets the entire stage perfectly. It tells you right away that in this world, marriage isn't just about love. Nope, it's a high-stakes business deal. And that idea? It's the engine that drives this entire story.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with that truth universally acknowledged, then meet the proud men and pretty women. We'll get to that most uncivil proposal, uncover the truth in a letter, and wrap it all up with two proposals, two sisters.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, a truth universally acknowledged. We're going to meet the family at the heart of everything, the Bennets of Longbourn. And, well, as you're about to see, their situation is, let's just say it's way more stressful than it looks. So here's the deal with the Bennets. They've got 5 daughters, which is a lot. But the real problem is that their home, their entire estate, is entailed. That's just a fancy legal term meaning it can only be passed down to a male heir. So, if Mr. Bennet dies, his wife and all 5 daughters could be left with literally nothing. This is why Mrs. Bennet is absolutely frantic to marry them off, and marry them well. It's not just a hobby, it's about survival.
And just when the pressure is at its peak, this happens. Mr. Bingley, a rich and, crucially, single guy, rents the huge mansion nearby. I mean, for Mrs. Bennet, this is like winning the lottery. And just like that, the entire plot is set in motion.
All right, Mr. Bingley is in town, which means one thing, a party. We're headed to the local ball. This is where we meet our main players and where the whole Pride and Prejudice thing really kicks off. And the contrast between the two new guys is just night and day. On one hand, you've got Mr. Bingley. He's an instant hit, charming, friendly, and he is immediately smitten with the oldest Bennet daughter, Jane. Then there's his friend, Mr. Darcy. He's even richer, but he comes off as incredibly proud, arrogant, and he famously snubs our heroine, Elizabeth Bennet. And right here, this is the moment the prejudice of the title is born. Elizabeth actually overhears Darcy saying she's not handsome enough to tempt him. Ouch. Her own pride is wounded, and that's it. She decides she hates him. It's an instant judgment that's going to color absolutely everything that comes next.
And, as if things weren't complicated enough, 2 more guys show up. First, there's the super charming soldier, Mr. Wickham. He wins Elizabeth over with his sob story about how Darcy totally cheated him out of his inheritance. Then you have the absolutely ridiculous Mr. Collins. He's the cousin who's going to inherit their house, and he proposes to Elizabeth. She, turns him down flat.
So all this tension, you've got Elizabeth's growing prejudice against Darcy, and his secret, complicated feelings for her. It's all about to come to a head in what might be the worst marriage proposal of all time. Okay, get this. Darcy shows up and confesses that he's passionately in love with Elizabeth, but then he completely blows it by letting his pride take over. He insults her family, her social status. He basically lists all the reasons why it's a terrible idea for him to love her, but he just can't help it. Yeah, not surprisingly, an enraged Elizabeth furiously rejects him. It's a total disaster. But hold on. The story is nowhere near over. The very next morning, Darcy finds Elizabeth and hands her a letter. And what's inside is going to make her question everything. And I mean everything she thought was true. This letter is the book's big turning point. Darcy lays out the absolute truth. It turns out Wickham is the bad guy. He blew through the money Darcy's father left him. And then, and this is a shocker, he tried to run off with Darcy's little sister to get his hands on her huge fortune. So that charming victim, Mr. Wickham, turns out he's a manipulative liar. So now Elizabeth has to face this huge question. What if her first impression, the one she was so sure about, was completely and totally wrong? She's forced to realize that her own prejudice made her blind to the truth about both Wickham and Darcy. Her whole world is kind of flipped upside down. All right, with Elizabeth's perspective completely shifted, everything starts to change. This new understanding is what paves the way for the story's big finish. 2 proposals for 2 sisters.
This time, Darcy proves he's changed through his actions. When the youngest sister, Lydia, stupidly elopes with Wickham, it's a social catastrophe that could ruin the entire family. But Darcy, in secret, tracks them down, pays off Wickham's massive debts, and basically bribes him to marry Lydia. He saves the Bennet family's reputation without taking any credit. And that selfless act, that's what opens the door for a second chance.
So, with Darcy's true character revealed, Bingley finally comes back and proposes to Jane. And then, when Darcy proposes to Elizabeth again, this time with humility and real respect, she says yes. She admits she was wrong, that her prejudice got the best of her, and in doing that, she completes her own journey.
And that's why this 200-year-old novel still hits so hard, isn't it? It leaves us with this question that is just as relevant today as it was then. How often do we let our own pride, our own prejudices, blind us to who people really are? It's definitely something to think about.